Today we're going to visit Nature's Haven Nursery, which is a native plant nursery located just outside Vancouver, Washington. We'll have a chance to chat with Jen, the owner, and see some of the native plants growing on her property. This nursery has an amazing selection of over 200 native plants. And if you watch until the end, you'll get a chance to see most of her selection. Hi everyone, I'm here with Jen from Nature's Haven Nursery, and I am just thrilled to be here. They have so many native plants, and just going to learn a little bit more about Nature's Haven and Jen and see some cool plants.
Yes, so excited you're here, Hannah. Thank you for coming out to visit us. Love to talk native plants.
Yeah. Well, so what first got you interested in native plants?
You know, it was a bombshell. It was a little over 2 years ago. At the time, you know, I was trying to save honeybees. I thought that was the right thing to do for our local environment. But I noticed that we really didn't have many butterflies here anymore and hardly any birds. And I've been living here for 21 years and I've steadily seen those populations decline. So I started doing some research and I came across the book Nature's Best Hope by Doug Tallamy. And it was mind-blowing that I can be this old. I'm not going to tell you how old, but I can be this old and not know things like our native butterflies need native plants to lay eggs on and to reproduce. You know, butterflies and bees can, and a lot of the creatures can go to, you know, any flower to get nectar, but for reproduction, they need to be native plants. When the butterflies lay the eggs, the larvae that hatch turn into caterpillars have evolved over thousands of years with the native plants, and so they need those. And I knew then that for my 6 acres, I had a lot of work to do getting a lot of those native plants back here, because I'd taken a lot out, but then also to increase the diversity of native plants. I started that, and then I bought a few plants and a few more, and next thing I know, I was just like, okay, let's just open a nursery so I can buy as much as I want.
So what was the process like of opening a native plant nursery?
Well, you know, in the beginning, I really didn't think people would come out here. So I just focused on what did I want for my property. And my big thing was the host plants. So there's a website by the National Wildlife Federation, nwf.org/native plants. And you can plug in your zip code to see which are the greatest host plants for butterflies and moths. So I took the first 100 best host plants, and that was the beginning of the inventory. And then just kept bringing in more plants, and then, you know, as word got out, started working with the Backyard Habitat Program, the Vancouver Bee Project, local schools, and it's really blossomed from there. Got some great team members, like Laura. You should come pop in and say hi, Laura.
Yeah.
So yeah, with this team, we've just watched it grow. We've got over 200 species now.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
What's one of the hardest parts of running a native plant business?
I would definitely say the inventory. I really feel like a failure when we run out of plants, especially if people are really wanting them. But also last summer I made the mistake of having too much inventory. So then, you know, we were just watering thousands of plants through the hottest, driest part of the summer. So balancing that inventory, it's, especially being so new, I don't know what to expect. So that's been the challenge, but we're learning.
You're about to celebrate your 1-year anniversary, so that is very exciting.
Yeah.
It's just amazing how much you've done since then.
Yeah, it's all happened fast, but it's been fun.
You're really the second native plant nursery on this side of the Vancouver-Portland Metro.
Yeah.
So that's an amazing accomplishment.
Yes, thank you.
So I'm curious, what is one of your favorite native plants?
That's easy. My favorite plant is the California bee plant, Scrophularia californica. What I like about this plant is it'll grow about this tall with these little teeny nondescript flowers that you wouldn't really notice, but they are full of nectar, and the bumblebees love it. So once you have it growing, if you just take a little bit of time just to watch it, you'll see that the whole thing is just alive with pollinators all over it.
Wow.
It's a lot of fun.
It was called the California bee plant.
The California bee plant.
It makes sense why they named it that.
Yeah.
What is one native plant that you think is underrated or under the radar that people should consider?
I would say the shade Phacelia nemoralis. This little evergreen plant also can grow about this tall. It is called shade Phacelia, but it does great in full sun. But what I love about it is they have these flowers that you wouldn't normally notice. They look like coiled pussy willows, and it's like bumblebee crack. And even though these flowers are different, I think we need to change our idea of beauty from the big, flashy, showy flowers to the ones that really contribute to the ecosystem. And the shade Phacelia does that. Not a lot of people seem to know about this one, so I love to talk about it.
Great. I'll have to pick one up. Now, for my scenario that I'm shopping for today, I have a really large maple tree and full shade, and the soil under it gets pretty dry. I'm looking for some taller shrub or something that gets a little bit taller to plant in that area. What would your recommendations be?
You know, I get questions like that a lot. For the dry, full shade, you know, a common fallback, people like tall Oregon grape. It's a nice evergreen. It can get like this tall. It has these beautiful yellow flowers that the pollinators just love. So that's a real popular one. I also really like the deer brush. It's from the Ceanothus family, same as blue blossom. You might know it as California lilac. It has blossoms that are white to light blue, and they smell like spiced honey. It's real pretty. It can get up to 14 feet tall, and it can take the shade and the dry conditions.
Well, that's great. And just so people know, this one is not on the Portland plant list, so if that's something you're looking for, this might not be the best pick for you.
Correct.
Are there any other recommendations that you might have for us, Jennifer?
Yes, actually. This thimbleberry, I love this funky thimbleberry. Thimbleberries can grow in the sun, shade. They will spread. They have these adorable little berries, kind of like raspberries, but I would say a little bit tangier. You know, I absolutely love them. Fun to have around, easy to grow. And this is an oso berry. This is just a young one, but these oso berries can also get like this tall. And they have this beautiful lime color, and they're one of the first blossoms in the spring, so great for the native pollinators like the mason bees that need those early blooms. Got these pretty white ones. If you want to get fruit, you need a male and a female plant, and you can tell by looking at the flowers. My way of telling is if it looks like there's a bunch of boxing gloves in there, that's a male, and this is a male. And the female looks kind of like a crown of jewels, like little sparkly, so real pretty. And this one has a tag-along, some fireweed growing in there. A lot of the pots have fireweed, monkey flower. Doug Tellamy talks in his book about how native plants have a synergistic effect when they interact with the roots of other native plants. So when we find some native seedlings growing in the plants, we just leave them. And if anybody wants us to remove them, we will, but I've never had anybody say, please remove this freebie.
Right, I would definitely take it.
Yeah.
Do you have any advice for people starting to get into native plants and looking to start putting native plants into their yard?
Yeah, it can be overwhelming. There are people that maybe they read the book or they read an article or hear something, and they'll come here and ask us and just say, I'm overwhelmed. For that, I would say start with the keystone species. The keystone species is the small population of plants that offer the greatest contribution to our pollinators. For example, Douglas aster. You know, it is a great late season bloomer, easy to grow, full sun, full shade, dry, moist, but it's a great keystone plant that you can even grow in a planter if you wanted to. Another one is goldenrod. If you have more space, those two grow great together. So definitely the keystone species. And if you have property and room to grow the bigger shrubs, then we could look at the greatest host plants. The greatest host plants for this zip code, my zip code, are the willows. They're a host to over 339 species of butterflies and moths. So if you have the room for it, that's a great, if you could get one thing, a willow would be great. nice one, evergreen huckleberry. You know, it doesn't get real big, but it can grow in the sun, the shade. It's real pretty, has flowers, has berries, and it's a host plant for over 149 species of butterflies and moths.
Wow.
Yeah.
What's one native plant with edible or medicinal uses that is one of your favorites?
Well, I love the willow because it's such a great host plant. It's also very cool that you can chew on the bark, and it's a pain reliever. I've never had to try it. I hope I don't have to, but it's good to know I've got a lot of willows on the property if I ever needed that. As for edible, like the osoberry is cool because the young leaves taste like cucumber. I've tasted it. We'll let you taste it.
Yeah, I will have to taste it.
But yeah, there's some like miner's lettuce, and tons of berries, salmonberry, thimbleberry, blackcap raspberry, serviceberry, huckleberries. I'm getting hungry.
Yeah, I love berries.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, great. Thank you so much for having us here today, and we'll go around and look at some of the plants.
Sounds great. Thanks for coming, Hannah.
Thanks.
Yeah, so this is a big restoration project trying to convert the 6 acres over to natives. And, you know, it's a lot of work trying to get rid of all of the blackberries and ivy and the different invasive species. You know, I used to travel a lot for work and, you know, I neglected the property, but I felt like I was leaving it alone and leaving it to nature and kind of giving a gift to nature. But it was getting overrun with invasives, and so now we're trying to get them all cleared out. Of course, all I can see is a blackberry coming back. We need to go trim that up. So this was all blackberries, and we're getting it all cleared up, and it's really nice seeing the natives finally having room to breathe. Like you can see those trilliums there.
Yep.
You know, a cool thing about trilliums is, you know, the trillium blossoms are white, and then bumblebees come and buzz pollinate them, you know, like just vibrate inside the blossom, loosens up the pollen, they visit another one. After the trillium is pollinated, it turns pink. So now that you've got the pink blossoms,
I did not know that.
Yes, those are the ones that have been pollinated. So those pink petals are going to fold up and drop to the ground and make a fruit body. And you're going to have all these seeds covered with a sticky substance. And then along comes an ant and finds it and goes back and tells his ant colony. And they're going to come back and they're going to get all of those seeds and take it back to the ant colony. And they feed that sticky substance to their babies. They leave all the seeds behind. But so like right here, when you see a bunch of trilliums all together in this patch, that means there probably used to be an ant colony here. And this is where the seeds were left after they fed the babies.
Wow.
Isn't that cool?
That is so cool.
As I learn new things, it's like I walk the same property I've had for years and I see it with new eyes. Like now I get excited about every trillium patch I see. Story about this pond. You know, I've lived here for 21 years and the guy before me put a sturgeon in there.
Oh my gosh.
So I hired an ecologist that was working with me, Dan Crum from Swamp Rose Ecology. And we were trying to make sure that this sturgeon had the best habitat possible because we're removing all the blackberry and ivy on the perimeter of the pond. He verified it is our native white sturgeon. He's like this long. We've named him Stanley. So this is Stanley the sturgeon's pond.
Gosh.
And we've been planting willows, bulrushes, salmonberry, spirea, a lot of plants along the bank to replace the ivy and also to hopefully encourage the wildlife like frogs and stuff to come in because Stanley needs his food.
Yeah.
This is the best time of day to be on this side of the pond to see Stanley. It seems like voices scare him off. So if we stay quiet for a minute, I'm just seeing if it'd be cool if we could get a shot for you. Another trillium patch. So it was cool when I hired the ecologist to help me figure out the pond. He did some looking around and said that I have the largest contiguous patch of skunk cabbage that he's seen. Yeah, so this is all skunk cabbage
Yep.
here, and it goes all the way up there, and it has that big yellow flower on it. And what's cool about the skunk cabbage is it's actually exothermic. It puts off heat.
Oh, no way.
So in the wintertime, you might notice that the snow is melted around the skunk cabbage and not any other plants. And that helps make it the prime habitat for the critically endangered Pacific shrew, which we're trying to verify if we have on the property or not. The Pacific shrew likes big patches of skunk cabbage near a body of water.
Oh my gosh.
It's able to puff air into its fur and walk on water for up to 5 seconds. And then when it hunts, it swims in the water and blows bubbles and then eats them. And that's what its way of smelling where its prey is.
That is so cool.
Yeah. So the ecologist put some baited tubes that are sticky on the inside. So if a creature goes through, he gets hair samples that he can send in. So yeah, we're trying to verify if we've got that little dude here.
Wow. That would be super cool.
Yeah. So right there, I just wanted to point out the wild ginger in the inside out flower. Also false lily of the valley. These are all options that I'm thinking would be good for your area under your maple tree.
Yeah. I wanted to get some wild ginger, so I'll probably pick up some of that. It was a treat to be able to explore Jen's beautiful yard. She's been hard at work at the daunting task of removing invasives like Himalayan blackberry and ivy, and has been adding native plants to restore habitats. It truly is a gem of a location. There's a stream that winds through with multiple ponds and waterfalls. I love seeing the little features to support wildlife, birdhouses, and plenty of mason bee homes. And if you come to the nursery, you'll have a chance to explore the property as well. Now I want to show you some of my favorite plants at Nature's Haven. It's currently mid-April, so some of the plants are just starting to grow. The first plant, Pacific Dogwood, is a beautiful flowering tree that I think is just as pretty as any ornamental tree. Now it can be really hard to find the true native version that's not a nativar, so I'm really excited to see it here. It is on the Portland plant list, and it's a wonderful tree. Sweet coltsfoot is a little plant that I recently learned about. It's a perennial that typically grows in moist areas such as near streams. It has attractive, deeply lobed leaves and these fun ball-shaped white flowers in early spring. It is also on the Portland plant list. Here's a picture from one of my neighbor's yard. This is broad-leaved penstemon, which is a pretty versatile plant with blue to purple flowers. I find that the native penstemons are some of the showiest species when they bloom, and honestly, I think every yard needs some penstemons. Nature's Haven has an enormous variety of plants. I'm including the full list in the end credits of this video in case you're looking for a particular plant. Just note that not all of these plants may be in stock at any given time, so you should check the stock on their website or contact them to make sure the plant you want is in stock. I highly recommend checking out Nature's Haven if you want a personal experience and are looking for a wide variety of native plants. I had a great time and I'm already looking forward to my next visit.